Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will commence in 5 minutes. Please begin moving to your seats and silence your electronic devices. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will start in 1 minute. Please ensure your electronic devices are silenced and please move to your seats. Good afternoon. I am Colonel Simon Schaefer, the Chief of the Joint Staff of the Minnesota National Guard. I am accompanied by the Installation Chaplain, Lieutenant Colonel Corey Bjertness, and the Camp Human Resource Officer, Major Rory Territz. It is my honor and pleasure and sincere welcome you to the 2021 Court of Honor ceremony at Camp Ripley. At this time, please rise as you are able and remain standing for the entrance of the official party, followed by the playing of the national anthem and invocation from Chaplain Bjertness. Color guard, post the colors.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we give you thanks for the men and women past and present who have stepped up to serve and protect our country. May they know the blessing of serving well and the gratitude of a grateful nation. We are mindful that today, as we celebrate, we have soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines deployed across the planet for the sake of peace. And we humbly ask that you would protect them and their families. We also humbly pray that those who align chaos against them would repent. But in the absence of repentance, we pray that our military and the militaries of all peace and liberty-loving nations would be strong, steadfast, and proficient. In the name of Almighty God, amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Please take your seats. Again, welcome to everyone. The Minnesota National Guard has been memorializing individuals since 1933, as stated in General Order Number 5, as a perpetual monument in memory of a grateful state and nation. Terrain features on the Camp Ripley Military Reservation, Little Falls, Minnesota, are hereby named in honor of Minnesota citizens now deceased who served honorably in our armed forces during a time of war. At that time, 159 individuals were honored. Throughout the years, over several decades leading up to the early 1980s, the program was intermittent and only 8 individuals, all deceased, were inducted. In 1988, we formalized the program and began hosting induction ceremonies biennially during the even-numbered years. In 2009, the board amended the program to host annual induction ceremonies. To date, 497 individuals have been honored with their names etched in the granite walls that line the Court of Honor at the Minnesota Military Museum on Camp Ripley. There are several distinguished individuals here today, and I would be remiss if we didn't take a moment to recognize them. As I introduce the official party and board members present, please stand. The Adjutant General of the State of Minnesota, Major General Sean Mankey. The Chairman of the Memorialization Board, Major General Retired Rick Erlinson. The Command Senior Enlisted Leader, Command Sergeant Major Brian Soper. In addition to the official party, we are joined today by several other Memorialization Board members. The Camp Ripley Senior Commander, Brigadier General Lowell Cruz. Brigadier General Retired Dirk Kloss. The Camp Ripley Garrison Commander, Colonel Joshua Seimer. The Minnesota National Guard Command Chief Warrant Officer 5, Brent Jensen. The Camp Ripley Garrison Command Sergeant Major Marcus Erickson. Command Sergeant Major Retired Steve Canine, and Board Recorder Kathy Raji. Thank you, and please know that we appreciate all the time and work you dedicate to ensure the important tradition of the Court of Honor continues. Please join me in thanking them. In addition to the official party today and the Memorialization Board, we have several distinguished guests in the audience. Lieutenant General Brevet Retired Larry Shalito, Commissioner Larry Herkey, Major General Retired Gene Adriati, Major General Retired David Alisario, Major General Retired Gerald Lang, Major General Retired Neil Lloydalt, Major General Retired John Trost, Major General Brevet Retired David Hamler, Command Sergeant Major Retired Doug Julien, Command Sergeant Major Retired Cynthia Kahlberg, and Command Sergeant Major John Lepowski. To any distinguished guests that I may have missed today, I apologize and thank you for attending today. Lastly, can we please take a moment to recognize any past Court of Honor inductees in the audience today? Will you please stand? Thank you for your dedicated service. The Court of Honor, located at the Military Museum on Camp Ripley, provides a prestigious and visible area for the purpose of recognizing and remembering those individuals who have, through dedicated service to state and nation, attained uncommon prestige or performed highly distinguished service over an extended period of years. This year, we recognize the following 13 soldiers whose names are now engraved in the Court of Honor. Lieutenant General Brevet Richard C. Nash, Brigadier General William J. Leader, Colonel Laura J. Ludwig, Colonel John J. Morris, Colonel Gregg L. Parks, Colonel David W. Pearson, Colonel Scott A. St. Sauver, Colonel Gregory A. Thingvold, Lieutenant Colonel Donald J. Skrove, Lieutenant Colonel Christopher J. Tatarka, Command Sergeant Major James M. Kampsen, Command Sergeant Major Chris A. Stroner, and Master Sergeant Robert T. Haugen. Please join the members of the Memorialization Board in honoring these select distinguished soldiers and their families.
Our first honoree today is Lieutenant General Brevet Richard Nash. General Nash began his distinguished career when he enlisted in the Minnesota Army National Guard in July 1972 with the 1st Battalion, 135th Infantry Regiment. General Nash's career spanned over 45 years and included positions from the platoon level to the general staff at the division HQs with the 34th Infantry Red Bull Division and the United States Northern Command. He commanded units at all levels, from company, battalion, brigade, and multinational division level. He completed his Army career as a Major General, serving as the Adjutant General for the state of Minnesota. On October 1st, 2000, General Nash was promoted to Brigadier General and selected to serve as the Assistant Division Commander of the 34th Infantry Division. In this position, he deployed as the Commanding General of the Multinational Brigade North Stabilizing Force 14 to Bosnia-Herzegovina, commanding soldiers from 27 states and 5 countries. On June 22, 2004, General Nash was promoted to Major General and was appointed to serve as Special Assistant to the Combatant Commander of North American Aerospace Defense Command and United States Northern Command. In 2007, General Nash returned to the 34th Infantry Division, this time to serve as the 34th ID Commanding General. 2 years later, the division deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. On February 10, 2009, exactly 67 years to the day, when the 34th Infantry Division mobilized for World War II, Lieutenant General Brevet Nash and the soldiers of the 34th Infantry Division mobilized to deploy to Iraq. General Nash assumed command of the Multinational Division South, based at Contingency Operating Base Basra in southern Iraq. While General Nash served his country for 45 years, his commitment to his community and to his fellow soldiers remains strong today. His love of military history has led to his involvement with the Minnesota Military Museum. He has also been actively involved with the Dr. Harold C. Deutsch World War II History Roundtable, and he is often called to testify before the Minnesota State Legislature regarding funding the Minnesota National Guard, veterans issues, and the preservation of Minnesota's history. Lieutenant General Brevet Nash was nominated by Major General Gerald Lang and Brigadier General Brevet Don Kerr.
All right, that better? All right, here we go. Now let's start over though. since 1975 when we attended MMA and OCS and have served on many staffs together and deployed twice with the division. General, our hearts and prayers are with Ingrid today for a speedy and full recovery. You've been a steady friend, a confidant, a sounding board, great soldier, and a community leader. You know, being the first one up here this afternoon, I'm going to set the bar really low, all right? You know, based on also on always appreciated good advice from my wife as I was preparing my remarks this week, she reminded me that nobody likes your long-winded speeches, and they start checking their mobile devices after a couple minutes. So just follow Bud Grant's advice, and they will be appreciative. So I'll get on to that in a moment. Thank you to the Adjutant General for approving my nomination and for the board approval and for Major Erlinson's leadership on the Court of Honor as its chairman. And for your honorable and distinguished service to our state and nation, General. And for any of you that missed General Erlinson's PowerPoint presentation, when he stood up the Aviation Attack Battalion many years ago, he will present that 5-hour presentation later on after today's event. Congratulations to each of the recipients today, well-deserving soldiers in this year's class and on your selection for the Court of Honor. It has been my honor and pleasure to have served, I think, with each and every one of you. Thanks to Camp Ripley staff, Colonel Seimer, General Cruz, for all the work and efforts your team dedicates to make this happen. I also, at this point, want to recognize the presence among us of Sarah Vesey. If she could stand, please. I don't want to embarrass her. She's back there waving. Sarah Vesey. Daughter of General Jack Vesey, Jr., 10th Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff under President Reagan, and along with her today is her son, Sam. I'm humbled by this honor and look at it as a capstone event and validation for a long career of serving my community, our state, and nation to the best of my ability. I've been blessed to have served with so many great soldiers, airmen, NCOs, warrant officers, and general officers, state employees, and civilians. There are so many tremendous leaders that all of us here today have been exposed to, have been mentored and trained by, that have allowed us to being recognized and those sitting here to reflect upon. We all remember our first sergeant we had as a new lieutenant, and all of our command sergeants majors we served with. No one serves alone or succeeds as an individual. And certainly not by ever not embracing the NCO Corps. We are a profession of team members with a common core of responsibility, duty, trust, honor, and values. That's what distinguishes us from any other army in the world. From the day that I was drafted, I had no idea what the final page of the final chapter would say. But today, those 45 plus years have gone by so quickly, and I have been so grateful to have served alongside tremendous Americans. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge those that have given their last full measure of devotion over those years, and in our recent conflicts, and to the Gold Star parents and families. I would like to finally add to all of you that are serving or have served that a day like this is not yours alone. It's your family that has the more difficult job of service. They worry, they suffer, they sacrifice, they adapt, and probably grow a lot when we are away or in dangerous situations. We each owe them a lot. I thank my wife, Jeanette, for our 48 years and her enduring support and how she instilled that in our two children, Kelly and Ryan. Both are with their spouses and their children. Kelly, husband Paul, and granddaughter Grace, Ryan and his wife Amy, children Jackson, Carter, Taylor, Caitlin, and Kendall. Each of them, I trust, will always know that if not for them, I would not have had this tremendous honor presented to me today. They carried on and did the hard lifting, as all of your families do. You know, when I was a young private and then as a junior officer, I began seeing those buildings we talked about at the beginning of the program. And those buildings and facilities named after soldiers who contributed significantly to the Minnesota Army National Guard. And so when I was young, I read with interest the plaques and the bios across Camp Ripley's installation. Many of those men and women I knew personally. That tradition, thankfully, came to a conclusion after all buildings and facilities had been named of honor of very deserving soldiers. Had that not happened, I can only guess that rather than a brass nameplate on the Court of Honor outside of the museum today, I may well have been destined to have a latrine downrange named after me with a sign that said, in honor of Nash's asses. But hey, it would have been a welcoming sight to many that would have brought great relief to them also. So I think I now have fulfilled Bud Grant's advice on public speaking. Follow the 4 S's. Stand up, speak up, shut up, and sit down. So I want to thank you for this distinguished honor. My family and I will be eternally grateful. God bless America.
Our second inductee today was supposed to be Brigadier General William Leader. Brigadier General Leader began his military career in 1985 when he enlisted in the Minnesota Army National Guard in the Military Police Corps. He received his commission from St. Cloud State University Army Reserve Officer Training Corps in 1986 and was assigned to the 47th Military Police Company. General Leader has served in numerous staff positions throughout his career and has led soldiers at all levels of command from company, battalion, to brigade level. In 2003, General Leader deployed to Tuzla, Bosnia with Stabilization Force 14 as the Provost Marshal for the 34th Infantry Division. In 2005, General Leader deployed for over 2 years as the battalion commander for the 1st Battalion, 216th Air Defense Artillery, where he distinguished himself heroically and unselfishly endangered himself in order to save the life of a wounded escort driver, pulling the severely injured driver from a burning truck that had been hit by an improvised explosive device. In General Leader's final assignment as the Assistant Division Commander, support for the 34th ID, he served as the advisor to the Division Commander for Readiness. He commanded the division and 7 subordinate brigades during Talisman Sabre 15 as part of a Pacific Command and Australian Defence Fence-led joint interagency, intergovernmental, multinational exercise. General Leader has served on the Board of Directors for the Project for Pride in Living, the Board of Directors for the United Heroes League, and the Leadership Board for the American Legion Post 523. General Leader helped create Target's Military Business Council and remains a member today. Brigadier General Leader's packet was submitted by Major General Joanna Clybourne. Unfortunately, due to circumstances outside our control, General Leader is unable to join us today. Brigadier General Lowell Cruz will come up and say a few words on General Leader's behalf.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Unfortunately, I'm not Bill Leader, but Bill and Renee are unable to join us today, and much like last year, COVID's had an effect on our incoming class of members into the memorialization. When I asked Bill if he wanted me to send a team out that could videotape his comments, his reply to me is, no, Lowell, you do it. So I'm here to share with you the notes that he sent me today. And Bill writes to me, I'm receiving this award because of the outstanding soldiers that I had the privilege to lead. To my esteemed colleagues, especially Major General Clybourne, I'm honored that you would nominate me and humbled to be inducted. I also want to thank my family. Without their support, I would have not been successful, especially to my bride, Renee, my rock and the one who really made it possible. Thank you.
Colonel Laura Ludwig is our next honoree. Colonel Laura Ludwig began her military career in 1975. After basic training at Fort Jackson, she completed the Military Occupational Specialty course of 91 Bravo, Field Medic, and 91 Delta, Operating Room Specialist. In 1977, she attended Officer Candidate School at the Minnesota Military Academy, one of the first classes to open to women, graduating with honors, earning the top academic award and runner-up for the Leadership Award. Colonel Ludwig has mobilized to active duty for multiple deployments. In 2003, she mobilized in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom with the 801st Combat Support Hospital in Kuwait. Then, in 2006, she mobilized for 36 months to support both OIF and Operation Enduring Freedom, serving as staff CRNA at Landstuhl Regional Medical Center. In 2009, she deployed to Afghanistan as the sole anesthesia provider at 2 forward operating bases. For her final deployment in 2011, she was requested by name to return to the LRMC as Chief CRNA and European Anesthesia Consultant. In July 2011, she retired after 36 and a half years of military service. Since retirement, she has supported many veterans programs, to include the Women's Veteran Initiative, the American Legion, and the VFW, among many others. Colonel Ludwig was nominated by Master Sergeant Retired Dwayne Isle.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think I will follow General Nash's advice, except I will use the KISS principle, keeping it short and simple. No pun intended. I want to thank everybody that's attended here today. I am truly, truly humbled by this honor. 46 years ago, I was sworn into the Minnesota Army National Guard by my father, Brigadier General Art Ludwig, who is my escort today, and my mentor throughout my military career. 21 years ago, he was inducted into this Hall of Fame. So it is an honor for me to be full circle, come around and share this honor with him and all the other inductees today and in the past. Like has been expressed by the other candidates or the inductees that were up here, it is truly family that makes this happen. And I want to thank my family, my dad, his significant other, Gloria, all my sisters and their families, Kathy, Sandra, Shelley, Linda, and Karen. I want to thank my significant other that came and supported me here today, Tim. But most of all, I want to thank my daughters, Molly and Chelsea, who can't be here, and my grandchildren that are here, Azalea, Remington, Akomi, and Bloom. They have sacrificed and supported me throughout my 36 and a half year career, and I can't be more appreciative and grateful for their support. Now on to the rest of my family. The Women's Veterans Initiative. There's 29,000 women veterans here in Minnesota, and they need representation. And I am glad to be part of that organization. I see several of my sisters here, Jerry Longfellow, Chris, Patty, and several others that I'm probably forgetting. The other family that I want to thank is my Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association brothers and sisters that are all back there waving, that made the trip up here. You know, after you leave the service, you're still a soldier for life. And without these brothers and sisters to support us, help us with our physical and invisible wounds of war, it would be difficult to return. So I thank them for showing up and showing their support. Again, I'm honored to be included with this year's inductees, and I appreciate the honor, and I'm truly blessed to be here, and I'm proud to have worn the uniform. So selfless service, soldier for life. Thank you.
Our next honoree today is Chaplain Colonel John Morris. Colonel Morris's career spanned over 26 years and included positions from battalion chaplain to staff chaplain at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. While Chaplain Morris served as a full-time support chaplain, he authored and developed the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon program. The program was so successful that the National Guard Bureau adopted it and pushed it to all 50 states as the single program to use for families, employers, and service members returning from deployments. In 2008, Colonel Morris transferred to the Headquarters 34th Infantry Division to serve as the command chaplain and to deploy to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. After returning from Iraq with the division headquarters, Colonel Morris was selected as the state command chaplain for the Minnesota National Guard, where he served with distinction from 2012 to 2015. In his final year in the U.S. Army, Colonel Morris served in the Army Chief of Chaplain's Office at the Pentagon and retired from the Army in 2018. Upon retirement, Colonel Morris took a position at the General Colin Powell Leadership Academy, and he currently works at Bethel College as the Director of Military and Veteran Services. One endeavor that Colonel Morris has been working on since his retirement is a biography of General John Jack Vesey. The 20-chapter book is now complete and is currently pending review by the Pentagon before publishing. Major General Lang submitted Chaplain Morris's nomination packet.
Yeah, I don't know if you know how hard this is for a chaplain to look at an august audience like this and not take an offering. General officers, Command Sergeant Major, distinguished guests, it's a true, it's a privilege to be here. Billy Graham, the great evangelist, once said there'll be three great surprises when you get to heaven. One, who is there? Two, who isn't there? And in light of 1 and 2, that you're there. Well, I feel that way about this honor here today. I'm I was just doing my job. And I loved it. And I thank God every day that I was called to be a chaplain. Because I've been trying to repay a debt. On the 28th of August of 1944, my mother's village in France was liberated by the United States Army. And that's the day my citizenship was purchased. And I have so wanted to give back to this country. So Kathy, thank you for all you've done to allow me to do that. And our beautiful daughters, Amy, Allison, and Anna, for their sacrifice, and Amy and Allison for your service in the United States Air Force. My dad was an airman, had a career, retired as an NCO. 5 boys, 3 of us joined the Army. And he always said at reunions and dinners, why in the H did you join the Army? To which we always said, because Dad, we really wanted to be in the military. I say all that to say thank you to the soldiers and airmen of the Minnesota National Guard who supported, who served, and helped us do what was right for our soldiers and for our airmen and their families as they came home from combat. Thank you to General Shelito for giving me the honor of putting into effect his vision and dream. And General Lloyd-Alt for reaching out to me at Fort Bragg and seeing in me the potential to bring that dream to fruition. And then to every senior leader who's here today, officer and enlisted, who I often had the privilege of bragging about in the Pentagon and at the National Guard Bureau, about many things, but most particularly about soldier and family care. And I will tell you, many states claim to be the first in whatever their program was for care of families. But I knew that our state, our great state, and our great leaders set the standard. And it was you all who had the courage to go on above and beyond to take care of the precious asset of the men and women who serve and their families who serve with them. So for me, it was an honor to serve along with you, and to enact the things that you envision. So thank you for this honor. It's truly a reflection of the work that we've all done together. God bless you all.
Our next honoree today is Colonel Gregg Parks. Colonel Gregg Parks joined the Minnesota Army National Guard in 1981 as a soldier with Alpha Company, 2 of the 136 Infantry in Wadena. After his sophomore year of high school and served 34 years with the Minnesota Army National Guard, Colonel Parks had a distinguished career in service to the state and nation. He deployed multiple times in support of contingency operations, ensuring the success of the Minnesota Army National Guard, both at home and abroad. His battalion earned the Naval Unit Commendation and the Meritorious Unit Citation during combat actions during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Colonel Parks has held a variety of command and staff assignments within the Minnesota Army National Guard, culminating as the Army Chief of Staff for the Minnesota Guard. During his tenure as the 175th Regimental Commander, the RTI graduated over 2,900 soldiers and oversaw the formation of the Maneuver Senior Leaders Course. Throughout his career, Colonel Parks demonstrated what the term citizen soldier really means. He served in many roles, from educator to coach to superintendent, while a service member. Colonel Park has extensively supported his community. He has volunteered hundreds of hours to various community events, to include supporting the Wounded Warriors, community cleanups, and events sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. Colonel Parks was nominated by Colonel Jason Benson.
You know, I timed it, General Nash. You went 11 minutes over your 2-minute speech this afternoon. So, as you as the standard bearer, I'll try to strive to keep my remarks under that today. First of all, I'm deeply humbled and proud of the fact that I was even mentioned in the same breath as the individuals recognized today and those that have come before us on the Court of Honor. We all know that you don't make it up on the podium here without having a tremendous cast that are supporting you to get to this position, and I appreciate that. Huge thank you goes out to Colonel Jason Benson and for his part in the nomination, as well as the members of my school district and my community for being part of that nomination process as well. I do want to make sure I spend the time to thank my family who've been there throughout the entirety of my career. I joined the National Guard when I was 17, and coincidentally, that's the time that my wife and I started dating back in high school. And so she's been here at every step along the way, from basic training to Bosnia and Iraq. I've got some of my children here today, Derek and his wife Megan and their son Maverick, my daughter Paige and her husband Nick, and with a baby on the way, and my daughter Megan and her husband Dan and their daughter Mina. Really appreciate everything that you've done to support me along the way. Roxy, we know who the true team leader is in this whole organization. General Nash has heard me say it before, but you're the glue that keeps us all together. As it said in the bio, 40 years ago I joined the Minnesota National Guard as a private in Alpha Company in 2 of the 136 that was in Wadena. Had very little concept as a 10th grader in high school of where I would be going with the military and all of the things that it would bring me. And I do have to say that at the end of the day, that the Army's given me a lot more than I've ever given back to it, and I appreciate it for everything along the way. As I was preparing for this weekend, I've had quite a few people contact me and congratulate me and say, you know, job well done. Thank you for everything you've done in your service. And almost every one of them has asked a question, and the question was, what do you miss most about the National Guard now that you've been out of it for 6 years? And, you know, immediately one answer came to mind. But on Friday, as they said before, I'm a school superintendent, and one of the things I do is I wave goodbye to the kids at the end of the week as they get on the buses and head out the door. And I got to admit, on Friday, as the buses were loading up, and those of you that have been around the mechanized infantry world will recognize this, but the smell of diesel fumes was coming up, and it really kind of brought back a lot of memories for me, both good and bad, throughout my career. But simultaneously with that, our high school secretary, who's responsible for making sure that the buses get on the road by 3:20, looked at me when the buses left exactly at 3:20, tapped her watch like that and gave me a thumbs up and waited for me to give the thumbs up back. And as soon as I did that, I saw just a huge beam of pride go across her face. And to me, that was kind of, once again, a flashback moment for me, because as an infantry soldier, oftentimes I was required to write operations orders and also be the one executing them. And operators know in the field that one of the things that you want to get right off the bat is the LD time. That line of departure. Everything depends upon you making it there at that particular time. And I kind of thanked her for giving me that moment, that aha moment of the things that I kind of miss within the military. The final thing that I think I miss the most is the relationships, and we heard it here earlier already. General Shellito used to have a great saying, and he said that every year is an opportunity for 12 family reunions to take place during drill weekend. And it really has been that. I had a career of 34 years of family reunions, and I got to tell you, today was a phenomenal one for me and my family. I know just about everyone on the Court of Honoree list for today. I know probably 80% of the people in the stands today, and it's just a phenomenal opportunity, and I want to thank everybody who was a part of that. Thank you.
Next, we honor Colonel David Pearson. Colonel David W. Pearson, a member of the 5th consecutive generation of his family to serve in military uniform, began his career in the Minnesota Army National Guard in 1962 as a tank crewman in St. Cloud, and then he commissioned as an armor lieutenant in 1964. He volunteered for duty with the active Army during the Vietnam War. His significant achievements include deploying to Vietnam and serving as an intelligence and operations advisor to Vietnamese civil and military forces, and authoring the concept paper for the active defense while assigned at the U.S. Army Infantry School. He returned to the Minnesota Army National Guard in 1979, serving in a variety of key staff and leadership positions, culminating as the Chief of Staff, Minnesota Army National Guard. During his tenure as the Chief of Staff, Colonel Pearson and his counterpart at Headquarters 47th Infantry Division worked with the support of their commanders, Department of the Army, and National Guard Bureau to activate and return the flag of the famous 34th Infantry Division to Minnesota. His civic activities are focused on his church and its programs, in which he has served as an active board member, grief counselor, and homeless shelter volunteer. He has also served as a commentator on military matters with local radio and TV outlets. Colonel Pearson was nominated for induction by Colonel Eric Kurska.
That will go better. General Officer, Sergeant Major, all gathered. Trying to follow these folks who just had comments is a daunting task, and I'll try. As with everybody to come across the stage this afternoon, I'm honored by this beyond words. I retired from the Minnesota Army National Guard 31 years ago last Friday. To have this happen now is making me take even more seriously the prospect of life after death. I'm grateful to those who thought somehow that I merited this recognition in your board, and to those who are here this afternoon to mark this occasion. I'm grateful to my family, and again offer both my thanks and my apologies to them for the sacrifices they all had to make for so long to make my career possible. And I want to thank everybody here at Camp Ripley and at the state headquarters for making all of this thing happen. This has been a marvelous event. I'm also grateful to the tremendous number of soldiers, airmen, Marines, and sailors I served with in both peace and war around the world, and who sometimes held my very life in their hands. Their dedication and sacrifices have in the past and continue to serve and support our nation. God bless them all and all of you. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Colonel Scott A. St. Sauver. Colonel St. Sauver's military service began when he enlisted in the South Dakota National Guard in 1980 as a 13 Bravo cannoneer, and then commissioning as a field artillery officer in 1988. Career highlights for Colonel St. Sauver include commanding a battalion of 700 soldiers during Operation Iraqi Freedom and serving as the Camp Ripley garrison commander for 7 years. Colonel St. Sauver feels that his greatest contribution to the success of Camp Ripley and the Minnesota National Guard community was his creation of hunting and fishing opportunities for our nation's veterans. In cooperation with the DNR, they expanded their turkey and deer management programs, and of course, his own initiative, Trolling for the Troops. As Camp Ripley commander, Colonel St. Sauver recognized the value of building relationships, as we can see through his contributions to the annual Minnesota National Guard Norwegian Home Guard Troop Exchange. In this program, Scott and Deb were Minnesota's ambassadors, advancing relationships with the Norwegian Embassy, Norway's royal family, and their country's top military leaders. Since retirement, he has continued to support military service members, veterans, and their families. Through his service as Chief Operating Officer and host for many of the American Hero Outdoors programs on Fox Sports North, Colonel St. Sauver was nominated for induction by Brigadier General Kevin Gerdes and Sergeant First Class Timothy Krauth.
I really hate being up here in this blueberry suit, but those of you that know me know I'm a lot more comfortable in shorts and flip-flops than this. But I really am honored and humbled to be inducted with this group of people. I tell you what, I worked for all of them, or with all of them, and couldn't be more honored. You know, I'm truly super proud to share this with my teammate, Deb. We've always been a command team. Everybody that knows us knows that Deb and I have served together our entire career, and side by side. And she is the real commander, but I don't have to tell you that. You already know that. You know, they say it takes a great NCO and mentor to create a good officer. Well, it took about 100 for me, but they got me here. And, you know, there was a core group of command sergeant majors that keep track of me. Even today, they call and say, "Sir, are you doing it the right way? Or are you falling back in your old habits?" So I'm truly honored to have those guys around. And I was and am proud of my strengths, and truly my only probably strength that I had, as well as my weakness, and that's my passion. I had incredible, and to this day, have incredible passion for the Minnesota National Guard, for the soldiers, airmen, and families of this great organization, and for Camp Ripley. Camp Ripley, its employees, and the communities of central Minnesota, they will always be part of Deb and I's heart and soul. Now, I could thank a million people, and you're all here, and I do thank all of you because you've all had impact, but I really do need to thank a couple people especially. Dr. Kevin Gerdes and Mickey, I know you're here. Brigadier General Lowell and Amy Cruz. You know, no titles are ever required or expected. You have made Deb and I better people, and you mean the world to us. You know, and values reside in your family, and they certainly reside in mine. My mom and dad are here. My siblings, Melissa and Michelle, are here, as well as my brother Jason, who couldn't be here. Thank you, because those values and those agreements and disagreements made me a better leader. You know, our children who all serve or have served, their spouses and our 8 grandkids, some of them are here today. Our pride is overwhelming for our children that serve. I have one son and Bill Leader, I wish Bill was here, because for a year he swore that our twin boys, Anthony and Blake, were the same person. And one of them would show up as an NCO and the other one as an officer. And he would constantly get on him about that. But, you know, they are still serving today. Blake's out a war fighter, and Anthony was lucky enough to be here. You know, and then probably my current role, my partner in American Heroes Outdoors, First Sergeant Dave Morse. we have a lot of stories that we need to tell you at American Heroes Outdoors. If you haven't seen it, here's my unfaithful pledge. Get out there, Bally Sports North. We're on Waypoint TV. Download it on your cell phone. Watch us anytime. We tell the stories of our nation's heroes. Those people too humble to tell their own stories. We get them out in the outdoors and we do a ton of stuff, and we just love it. And I got to tell you, Dave, thank you. I got your back, brother. We'll keep this thing going. And I know fishing is a tough job, but I swear to God, I'll do my best. Okay? So thank you for all that attended, and on to the next chopper. So stay tuned. Thank you very much.
The next individual to be inducted is Colonel Gregory Thingvold. Colonel Gregg Thingvold served over 32 years in the Minnesota National Guard. He began his career when he enlisted in 1983, serving in the 210th Engineer Installation Squadron. Colonel Thingvold then commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1987 as a Signal Corps officer before transferring to aviation in 1989. Colonel Thingvold commanded at multiple levels, including leading the recruiting battalion to 100% of mission in 2001 and receiving national recognition for his achievement. In April of 2007, Colonel Thingvold deployed as battalion commander 2 of the 147 Assault Helicopter Battalion in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom 07 to 09 as part of the surge of forces that would have a significant impact against al-Qaeda. In 2012, Colonel Thingvold took command of the 34th Combat Aviation Brigade and prepared the HHC 34th CAB and 2 of the 147 AHB for the 2014 to 2015 deployment, supporting both Operation Spartan Shield and Operation Inherent Resolve. With great agility, he deployed aviation forces into Iraq, defending United States assets while developing future capabilities for U.S. forces. Colonel Thingvold continues his commitment to veteran service organizations and military associations. He is a lifetime member of the National Guard Association of the United States, the VFW Post 1782, and the 34th Infantry Division Association. Colonel Gregory Fix submitted Colonel Thingvold's nomination.
My theme is definitely going to be very similar to those before me. It's incredibly humbling to be in this group. Who would have thought, 32 years and culminating in standing on a stage with these heroes today is truly a humbling experience. And thank you, Gregg Fix, for taking the time to submit the application. Those creative writing skills have definitely come in handy. It really is simple. It's about family and friends, and of course I wouldn't be able to do 32 years, let alone 10 years, without the support of my wife Sarah. Words cannot describe what it takes to be able to do what we do on the home front here, let alone downrange. And thank you for your support and being there by my side. And of course I can't stop there. My son Derek actually surprised us today and came up here with our 3-month-old and doing it alone, which is pretty impressive. Jada couldn't make it with them, so that was a nice surprise seeing Roran, our 3-month-old grandson, with him. And Brooke, who I think is watching online, finishing up grad school in Manhattan, Kansas, and we're looking forward to her being back at least in Minnesota, maybe sometime next year. Thank you for your support. I know as kids, when your dad deploys, that can be a very hard thing to understand why they have to go away for so long. But it takes the family and friendships to see them through on the home front. So again, we can do what we can do that the forces are asking us to do. It's really an honor today for me as well, because one of the inductees today, Jim Kampsen, very special because he and I were the team on the last deployment, and without the command sergeant majors of this world that can be there in those moments that we need to vent, that we need to talk to and get through those hardest moments, truly the best sergeant majors produced right out of here in the Minnesota National Guard. First deployment, Dan Mueller, who's here today as well, OIF 0709. Dan, without your professionalism and leadership by my side, it would have been much more difficult. So thank you for being here today. And the friendship, of course, and I really mean that from the uniform side. When I take a look at who's out here in the audience today, the friendships that we forge through service and through deployments is something that I think really those outside of uniform really just don't understand. And I include the families because you get it. You see the sacrifice, what it takes, and who would have thought, that we find ourselves where we're at. When I originally signed up for 4 years in the Air National Guard, I'll be honest, it was for college money, and here I am 32 years later, and the reasons are many, but we find ourselves with opportunities and challenges, and it's hard to not take those on and be around the team that we're in to accomplish them. My greatest takeaway is our performance when we go down range. When we first deployed in 0709, we worked for the 12th Combat Aviation Brigade, and we were the only reserve component battalion in this active duty brigade. So that in and of itself can be a little bit intimidating. But what we found is an interesting story came my way well into the deployment. The brigade commander would go to his battalion's tactical operations center when it comes time to launch missions, and the reason why he was there is his own battalions had a hard time launching for missions. And it just struck me, because it really wasn't in our DNA to not meet mission, to not have aircraft ready, to have crews ready to meet mission. And when we were there that year, 1,900 missions, probably over 19,000 hours flown, we never failed to meet mission. That's what your National Guard brings to the fight. It's the diversity and experience and talent that makes us shine, no matter where we deploy to or no matter the complexity of the mission. And I'm thankful for that, because it wasn't me, it was the team that we bring with and the quality of the skill sets that they bring to the fight. And so to be a part of that, I'm truly humbled, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. And again, look forward to the next phase of this ceremony, and thanks again for being here.
Our next inductee today is Lieutenant Colonel Donald J. Skrove. On October 15, 1965, Lieutenant Colonel Donald Skrove's military service began when he enlisted in the United States Army. He graduated from basic training and advanced infantry training at Fort Knox, Kentucky, followed by attendance at Officer Candidate School, culminating with his commission as a second lieutenant. During Lieutenant Colonel Skrove's active duty tour, he served overseas in the Vietnam conflict for 18 months as a recon platoon leader, or the tip of the spear. Following his active duty tour, Colonel Skrove joined the Minnesota Army National Guard. One of Colonel Skrove's key duty assignments was serving as officer in charge of the Minnesota Winter Operations School, working closely with the U.S. Army Northern Warfare School, Mountain Warfare School, U.S. Air Force Air Crew Survival School, and the Natick Research Laboratories. He led a team of 160 instructors and trained over 4,200 personnel annually. Additional achievements during this assignment include rewriting the program of instruction and assisting in the development of the Winter Ops Resource Manual, still in use today. Lieutenant Colonel Skrove retired from the Minnesota National Guard in 1994 after serving over 29 years. He was a member of the VFW, American Legion, and Military Officers Association of America. Lieutenant Colonel Skrove was nominated by First Sergeant Ronald Jacobson. Representing Lieutenant Colonel Skrove today is his wife, Meredith.
Testing, 1, 2, can you hear it? Members of the official party, distinguished guests, past inductees, current inductees, family members, friends, and guests. First and foremost, I would like to take an opportunity to thank those individuals who have made today a holiday for our family and friends. First Sergeant retired Ron Jacobson of the Minnesota Army National Guard, Sergeant Rick Schuler of the Minnesota State Patrol, Sergeant retired Dan McGinn of the Minnesota State Patrol, Leon Bruin, sexton of St. Mary's Cemetery in Alexandria, Father Steve Binsfield, retired pastor of St. Mary's Church in Alexandria, Russ Craigmile, a friend, and last but not least, members of the Memorialization Board. My husband had 3 careers: the military, law enforcement, and volunteering. He loved all equally and treated them equally. He demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to his military family as well as his community family by embracing the necessity of war and the law to keep that which was most sacred safe. He demonstrated both a high degree of technical competence as well as a remarkable ability to implement difficult training programs of the most demanding assignments. He had a keen ability to rapidly acquire in-depth knowledge of varied operations and intricate systems. He was the kind of person who gave to give back, who juggled ups and downs with an inspiration to never stop giving. He made a difference, exemplified his missions, and positively impacted the people of our state. His leadership style motivated those who worked for and with him in such a manner that end results were of exceptional caliber. His diligence and self-motivation was always a source of inspiration for the rest of his troops, his partners, and lay people alike. His knowledge and common sense approach benefited and mentored many future leaders who depended upon him for recommendations, advice, and practical reality checks. He was a breadth of experience and expertise, equaled by few. He always did whatever it took to fulfill his duties, honor his commitments, and uphold his oath, because he believed in the military chain of command and lived by its code. His integrity was above question, and he always stood up for the right thing, even in the face of opposition. I am thankful for the person he was, the person who risked everything for a state and country, most of many who never knew him. I will be forever grateful to have supported him, loved him, and without a doubt, blessed and proud to be his soulmate.
The next individual inducted is Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Tatarka. Lieutenant Colonel Tatarka started his military career in 1990 as a distinguished military graduate from Gonzaga University ROTC program. In 1995, he completed the Military Intelligence Officer Advanced Course and branch transferred from infantry to MI as a 35 Delta All-Source Intelligence Officer. While on active duty, Colonel Tatarka served as an assistant professor at the U.S. Military Academy of West Point from 1999 to 2002, and then served as a special program analyst executive officer at U.S. Strategic Command from 2003 to 2005. Following his assignment at STRATCOM, Colonel Tatarka transferred to the Minnesota Army National Guard and was assigned to the 34th Infantry Division, deploying as the G2 and Assistant Chief of Staff for the division's deployment to Basra, Iraq from 2009 to 2010. Colonel Tatarka has also distinguished himself as a prolific author, writing a paper that has become part of the U.S. Army's intermediate level education curriculum, as well as authoring 3 separate chapters in a professional psychology leadership text entitled General Psychology for Leaders, 2013. In 1999, the Military Intelligence Professional Journal recognized him as the Writer of the Year. Then, in 2013, he was jointly recognized as the Aviation Digest Writer of the Year. In addition to these accomplishments, Lieutenant Colonel Tatarka volunteers as a youth coach in his local community. Lieutenant Colonel Tatarka's packet was submitted by Brigadier General Stephen Schemenauer.
So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, first and foremost. Secondly, I apologize up front. I have to tell you a very quick story, but I promise it'll be quick. About 3 months ago in my day job in the FBI, we got new phones. And anyone here from the Signal Corps, I apologize, but like any government communications device, when you first get it, it didn't work so well. So I get a phone call on this new phone, and it's a voice message, but I can't really figure out who it's from. So I run outside to get a good signal, and I listen to the message, and it's from Major General retired Rick Erlinson up here on stage. And it's almost like out of one of those commercials you see now where I couldn't really hear it. I got Rick Erlinson, and I got Court, and I got October. I put the 3 together, and I figured the man had finally caught up to Rick Erlinson, and for some reason I was involved. So, General, I don't know what it was at that moment, but I was pretty nervous. So I hit call back real fast and was able to clear it up. And thankfully, the thing that General Erlinson then passed on to me, that it was this event and that neither he nor I was being indicted. So that was good news. Like so many others have said, I was honored when I heard that and a bit relieved, as I just forwarded on to you. But honored to be recognized for this event, and a little surprised, quite frankly. I think so many of the people up here are kind of sort of no-brainers from where I sit as an analyst. I'm not so sure that's the case for me, but we are truly blessed to be up here today, my wife and I. To that end, so many people have talked about family. I am absolutely no different in that regard. My wife, Mary Beth, has stood by my side and actually pushed me to do a lot of things over the years in the right direction. She has been an absolutely phenomenal partner and the glue that has kept our family together with my 3 children, Delaney, Connor, and Kylie. It is great to have them with us today. Since I retired when I was very, very young, they were pretty young too. So they don't remember a lot of military events like this. So this has been awesome for us to come up here and just be part of this culture and this environment again, and certainly to sort of reintroduce them since they were pretty little when I actually did in fact retire. A second group of people that I think a lot of us don't think about, although Scott St. Sauver did mention this, are those that sort of got us to where we were before we had our own families, and that being our parents, our siblings. I had the opportunity, my brother happens to be in town from Montana this weekend. He's not here because he's at US Bank Stadium watching the Vikings, who are currently losing, so take that, Sean. But it reminded me after I dropped him off at his hotel, he and his son and grandson, and I thought, you know, how important siblings, how important our parents were to all of us sitting out here today. And so my parents are deceased, but certainly thanks to them for what they did for not only me, but my family and all of us back in Montana. A third group that I need to thank is you and the people you represent in the Minnesota National Guard. If you were still awake and listening to the biography, I left the regular Army at a very strange point in one's career. I was a field grade officer. I was a major. I was doing okay. And had an opportunity to come to the Minnesota Guard, where Mary Beth is actually a Minnesotan. I'm not. And so it was a really strange career move, and there was no shortage of people in the regular Army who were telling me how foolish I was to do that. Why would you go in the National Guard? You're having a good career. What are you thinking? And I didn't know that I had a great answer for that, but after about 6 months on the job and the people that I got to work with, almost immediately, I realized it was the best choice I could have possibly made because of you and the people that you represent in the formations in the Minnesota National Guard. What a phenomenal organization, and brought me in, and I was truly blessed to work with so many of you that are sitting out there today. And then the last group that I really do need to thank, which is a part of that Minnesota National Guard family, which is your military intelligence branch, and those MI soldiers, non-commissioned officers, and officers that are out there serving today in your ranks or served with you for those of you who are retired. I've been now working in the intelligence community in the FBI for 10 years. That's a lot of work out in DC, plus here locally in the state of Minnesota. And I work a lot with the interagency partners in the intel community. And when I think about the soldiers that I worked with in the Minnesota National Guard, and I compare them to those professionals who do this stuff every day for years and years, you do not know how lucky you have it to have those soldiers in your ranks, or for those of us who are retired or civilians, to have them supporting you in the moments of crisis that this state has endured in the last 12 months. I've got to pick up the phone at 2 in the morning and talk to some of those folks in my current job. Can't tell you what we talked about, but we were having some conversations about things that were going on, and you are very, very, very blessed to have them in your organization, as I said, and I was certainly blessed to be a part of that team as well. So again, on behalf of Mary Beth and my children, thank you so much for this award and this honor. It is duly appreciated. And I have to end with 3 things, or I think somebody will come back to get me when I was a regular Army officer, and then here in the National Guard, I'll end you with 3 things. 1, beat Navy. Number 2, always out front. And number 3, attack.
Our next individual inducted today is Command Sergeant Major James Kampsen. Command Sergeant Major Kampsen's military career began when he enlisted 16 August 1984 after completing basic training and advanced individual training for MOS 67 Yankee Alpha Hotel-1 helicopter repairman. He was assigned to the 13th ATK Helicopter Battalion in Giebelstadt, Germany. After a short break in service, CSM Kampsen enlisted in the Minnesota Army National Guard May 18, 1988 as a helicopter mechanic in Fox Company, 147th Aviation. Highlights of CSM Kampsen's distinguished career include the deployment of the 1256 Medevac to Fort Hood, Texas in support of Operation Noble Eagle and the execution of over 100 real-life Medevacs. In 2011, he deployed with the 134th BSB to Kuwait during Operation New Dawn as the Camp CSM for Camp Virginia and the life support area of Ali al-Salam. Finally, in 2014, CSM Kampsen deployed with the 34th CAB to Operation Spartan Shield with multiple areas of operation throughout Arson. CSM James Kampsen contributed to the overall training and readiness of the Minnesota Army National Guard as a full-time technician for over 27 years. diligently working to ensure aviation assets were at maximum readiness for the state of Minnesota. James Kampsen has always embodied the values of citizen soldier and continues to serve Minnesota through various organizations, including Habitat for Humanity, the American Legion, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Command Sergeant Major Stephen Kunin submitted Command Sergeant Major Kampsen's nomination packet.
General Makey, General Erlinson, and Sergeant Major Soper, thanks for this great honor today. General Erlinson told me that there's a trap door underneath my feet, so I have to keep it within 2 minutes or else it's going to snap. I'll try. So good afternoon, distinguished guests, family, and friends. Honored to be here today. Thank you, Sergeant Major Steve Kunin, for the nomination, the board members for selection, and General Erlinson for the call. I'm not able to name everyone who got me here, but I must start with my family. Mom, dad, sister, and her husband. Led by example in their work ethic and dedication to each other. My wife, Julie, who without none of this is possible. I worked directly for some great leaders. General Erlinson, strong and approachable leader who valued other opinions. Thank you, sir. General Mankey, one of the smartest guys I've ever met. Trusted me to get the job done, and I hope I didn't disappoint. General Bobo, who's not here today, taught me to take ownership of my position. He said, if you give you the hat, wear it. Colonel Kurska studied history and focused on safety. This led to a 5,000 troop deployment to the Middle East where the mission was successful and everyone returned home. What an accomplishment. Colonel Thingvold made calculated decisions ensuring safety was a priority. We deployed with 1,800 soldiers to the Middle East, completed the mission, and brought everyone home. What an accomplishment. Lieutenant Colonel Jorgensen mobilized the Air Ambulance Company to Fort Hood, 18 months providing medevac coverage to 5 Army posts across the U.S. Mission success. These are the people I got to work for. Sergeant Major Paul Herr couldn't be here today. Emphasized discipline and order, teaching me to focus on measurable data that readied our unit for deployment. When I became a brigade CSM, I'd call him for guidance, and he always answered my call. Sergeant Major Jeff Lindbergh, dear friend, used to work on promotion packets together and put them side by side prior to submission. Sometimes we'd apply for the same job. Whoever got it, the other was happy. Sergeant Major Steve Kunin, he was my career chaser. He was always 2 years behind me in promotions. I'm 85, he made it 2 years later. I'm 86, E7, same thing. When I was promoted to E8, he made it 6 months later. I told him to slow down because he's not following the 2-year plan. He said, you better get moving. What an adventure. Thank you. Of course, there are many other influences in my life. Some of them are here today, and those who are not have been thanked by me in other ways. Sergeant Majors Julene, Soper, Kahlberg, Lepowski, Erickson, Weidenbach. I know you're here. Thank you. Mueller, I know you're here. Thank you so much for everybody that supported me in that area. I've got friends, McMahon, Mellon, Johnson, Athman, Thompson. There's Ryan Pruse. The friends that I have would blow snow into my driveway while I was deployed. They're over there. This is a group of people I get to hang around with. You're the ones who got me here. If any of these people stood to my door and said, let's go, I'd pack my gear and follow them anywhere. Last week, my wife apologized for not getting me a gift for this occasion. I asked her what I could possibly want, as I believe I have everything. Truth is, as long as I have you, I'm good. In conclusion, if you picture everyone I mentioned as being a parachute, picture me as the guy hanging on the strings below. Thank you for carrying me to this place. Congratulations to the other inductees. It's a true honor.
Command Sergeant Major Chris Stroner is the next individual to be inducted into the Court of Honor. Private Chris Stroner enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1986 and was assigned to the 24th Infantry Division Mechanized, Fort Stewart, Georgia, after completion of infantry training at Fort Benning, Georgia. He served as a machine gunner and armorer until 1988. Believing he had more to contribute to the Army, at age 32, Corporal Stroner joined the Minnesota Army National Guard, where he retired as the Command Sergeant Major of 2nd Battalion, 135th Infantry Regiment, 1st Minnesota. During CSM Stroner's 30 years of service, he deployed 6 times, spent 5 years, 6 months, and 2 weeks deployed in support of domestic and global contingency operations. CSM Stroner's deployments and leadership positions were significant, from guarding Patriot missile sites to protecting the Riyadh Air Base in support of Operation Desert Spring 3 and holding the line between the aggressors during riots in Kosovo as part of Operation Noble Eagle. CSM Stroner's service to his community is also very noteworthy. Chris became a sworn police officer in 1993 and attained increased positions of responsibility until he retired in 2015 after 22 years of service. CSM Stroner is involved with several service organizations today, including the American Legion, the VFW, the 34th Infantry Division Association, the National Rifle Association, the Orders and Medals Society of America, and the National Infantry Association Bearcat Chapter. CSM Stroner was nominated by Brigadier General Charles Kemper and CW4 Lisa Jaeger.
General officers, distinguished guests, visitors, thank you very much for being here. I'm just a crusty old CSM, so no offense to those officers that came before me. I know what a time hack is, and I will keep it under 2 minutes. Nobody gets here by themselves, and I would love to go through and list you all the people that contributed to the success I had in my career. Many of them are in the audience today. But it would take probably an hour, and I would definitely miss somebody. But just know that I love each and every one of you, and thank you for all your support over the years. To my daughter, Catherine, just want you to know Daddy loves you very much, and hopefully all this Army stuff will make sense someday. So God bless each and every one of you. God bless America. God bless the 135th Infantry to the last man.
Our final inductee today is Master Sergeant Robert T. Haugen. Master Sergeant Robert Tim Haugen's military career began when he enlisted as a 91 Bravo combat medic in 1974, shipping to basic training in July 1975. Tim served 3 years on active duty, conducting a 6-month tour in Germany and earning the Expert Field Medical Badge. Following active duty, Tim served 2 years in the reserve before enlisting in the Minnesota Army National Guard with 2 of the 136 Infantry as a company aide man. Here he advanced quickly, becoming the medical platoon sergeant in 1983. In 1984, Master Sergeant Haugen accepted an AGR position as a production recruiter. Throughout his career as a recruiter, he regularly exceeded mission expectations, posting years as high as 140% of assigned mission, earning the Master Recruiter Badge in 1987. In 1997, Tim transitioned to serve as the Readiness NCO for 2 of the 136 Infantry. As a Bearcat, he led HHC 2 of the 136 Infantry through the Minnesota Organizational Readiness Evaluation, achieving the highest rank of all HHCs within the brigade, and revived the Citizens Committee by reinvigorating retired Bearcats. Following his retirement in 2001, Tim has continued to serve his state and nation. Tim is a founding board member of the Cowboy Up Ride Against Cancer, a nonprofit that has raised more than $800,000 in support of cancer patients. He is very involved with the American Legion, VFW, and Honor Flight as well. Tim's packet was submitted by Brigadier General Brevet Don Kerr, CSM Brad Olson, and First Sergeant Ron Kruger.
Well, I'm glad I got extra time here. I want to thank Major General Mankey, retired Major General Erlandson, and the Memorization Board for this honor. I also want to do a special thank you to Brigadier Brevet Don Kerr, retired, First Sergeant retired Ron Kruger, and retired Command Sergeant Major Brad Olson. As I look back over my 26 and a half years of military service, going from basic training through retirement, there are numerous and too many individuals to recognize, and I don't want to forget anybody. Military service is never easy, as we all know, and I would have not been successful without the help of many of my family and my friends. I'm very honored today. My family's here. This makes it hard, but I've been out retired over 20 years, and when I got the call from Major General retired Erlandson, I saw my cell phone and I recognized the name. I mean, it's been 20-some years, and I knew Erlandson, and I really had no clue what was going on. Then after I talked to him, and it's like, wow, this just blew me out of the water. But as I look back, if it wasn't for my family, and I thank them all, they're all here. I just got one. Because of COVID, I had a few that couldn't make it. I want to thank my brother that surprised me that being here. Thank you for coming. And I I do look back when I was a production recruiter, and at the time, the battalion commander for 2 of the 136 was Lieutenant Colonel Shalato. And I remember the very first time he came in, my office was when you walked in the front door for the recruiting office, he looked at me and he says, "Haugen, in my office now." And I'm going, wow, am I in trouble? And I guess it's one of those things where you learn over your career. He's one where soldiers came first, and he always looked on other individuals for what's the eyes and ears of what's happening. And it's something like that I look back on, that's how I always feel. And Chaplain Morris even said it better here. I was only doing my job all that time. And then with that said, I would like to thank my son, who, as my escort today, Chief Warrant Officer 3 Haugen, I sort of got him out of the duty here of being the MC, from what I'm hearing, but I want to thank you very much. I know you were behind this. When I found papers that weren't in place, and I'm not a very organized guy at that time, but my military papers are here and there. I had, things just didn't add up until I got the phone call. Then things made sense. So I want to thank, if it wasn't for my wife, for all the time. It's like we all say, family is important. We know that, and I really appreciate everything from that. So with that being said, thank you.
Congratulations again to all of this year's honorees and their families. Let's join in another round of applause. At this time, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium the chair of the Memorialization Board, Major General retired Rick Erlandson.
I asked that I not spend a lot of time speaking until General Nash got up here and was pleading with me to do the attack battalion stand-up briefing again. So 5 hours is all it takes? No, not really. I want to thank everyone for coming, but I want to thank some people that really put this together. It doesn't happen because of things I do or even the Memorialization Board itself. It takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make an event like this, a very important event, first of all, and make it successful. So certainly I want to thank General Cruz and his staff, and Colonel Josh Seimer and the post commander and his team for putting this whole thing together and hosting it, because without them, we couldn't do what we do here today. But more important than all of that, there's a person behind the scenes that really starts this from start to finish and follows through and keeps us all on track, and that's Kathy Raji. And I didn't see her this morning. Is she here at all? There she is. She's the one that made this thing happen. Thank you, Kathy. So again, thank you all for coming, and we're going to see you over at the Court of Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, General Erlandson. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the benediction and remain standing for the exit of the official party.
Receive God's blessing. Now may the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, keep your hearts and your minds safe and in perfect peace, now and forever. Amen.
This concludes the portion of the memorialization program. Please join us at the museum for the unveiling ceremony at this year's honorees in the Court of Honor. The unveiling at the museum will begin at 3 p.m. For those of you joining us online, we will have a short intermission, but we'll be back at 3 p.m. to unveil the inductees' names at the Court of Honor. We hope you're able to stay with us during this short break. We have reserved parking for the honorees and the official party at the museum and the library parking lot. Parking is also available along the west side of the airfield up Infantry Road for all other attendees. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you at the museum. Thank you. Colonel Schaefer, you're on. Thank you for joining us for the unveiling of the new inductees into the Court of Honor. Honorees, when I call your name, please come forward to unveil your name and to receive your plaque. Lieutenant General Brevet Richard C. Nash. Brigadier General William J. Leader.
He's much better looking.
Represented by Brigadier General Lowell Cruz today. Colonel Laura J. Ludwig. Colonel John J. Morris. Colonel Gregg L. Parks. Colonel David W. Pearson. Colonel Scott A. St. Sauver. Colonel Gregory A. Thingvold. Lieutenant Colonel Donald J. Skrove. Lieutenant Colonel Christopher J. Tatarka.
Thank you.
Command Sergeant Major James M. Kampsen. Command Sergeant Major Chris A. Stroner. Master Sergeant Robert T. Haugen. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me one last time showing our appreciation for this year's Court of Honor inductees. Thank you everyone again for attending today's event. This concludes our ceremony. If the inductees would please come forward for one group picture before you depart, that would be greatly appreciated. Please drive safely as you leave Camp Ripley today. We'll just gather in front of the monument.
All right, we're going to bring it out a little bit tighter. Make sure you cover up the name now. Yeah, go side view. You don't have to turn it off. Okay, right here on 3000 Road A. And if I have my phone, I can turn my phone. But it won't be visible. Yeah, so I had to go, I never knew that I had to go find it. That's somewhere it's set.